If you can't watch a full podcast, watch a clip instead. You'll be as entertained and as informed. That's my guarantee. That's why you gotta subscribe to those cast clips. My only question then that emerges from that is we are now in 2024, right? And the era of Mughal rule has long gone.
Has it?
Or Aurangzeb is dead, and
Easy.
So the Mughal rulers as we know them are no longer. I mean, they have their presence in the historical monuments and the architecture and perhaps in some books and some thought processes in the country. But largely, then, what has this issue come to now? Because there's also a whole contemporary side to this, where despite the bloody riots and the constant raising of the temple again and again, and the mosque being there, who is fighting from the mosque side to make sure that the mosque remains? And I obviously know you mentioned the father-son duo of the Jains who are taking this battle to court.
Yeah.
But who is representing the mosque now, and what is their claim? And do you think they are maybe wrongly vilified custodians of a mosque they're forced to inherit?
Yeah. True. I mean, when you said the Mughal rule is over or Aurangzeb is dead, literally that might be the case, but metaphorically, perhaps not. When even now you have political parties and people who go to Aurangzeb's mazar and offer their tributes to a man who has been the cause of so much, harm to fellow Indians, raised so many temples, thousands of people killed. Then it raises serious questions, saying, is this the person who's considered a hero by a section of people, and why? Why should that be? Now, in this particular case, I think it's, as I said, from 1942. In 1936, there was another case that was fought, very famous one, which I document in detail in this book called Deen Muhammad versus the State. Now, this is a non-representative suit because the Hindus were not made a party to it. It was only a case between the Muslim side and the British government. And so the findings of that will not be binding on the Hindu community today, but it opens a window to very interesting details of the time. One of it is that the British court adjudicated, after going through a gamut of evidences and documents and everything, to say that this was not a Waqf property, the Gyanvapi mosque. Because Aurangzeb may have ordered the breaking of the temple, but there was no farman of his which says, I'm dedicating this land to build a mosque in its place. According to the rules of Waqf, a Waqif or a donor, first of all, that land has to belong to me. Now, in that Bunty Bubbly, this thing, I go and sell the Taj Mahal, which doesn't belong to me. That cannot happen. You see, I need to have the property documents and the title deed. So, of course, as the emperor, the entire land belonged to him. But he should have made, or his subordinate should have made, some deed or document saying, this property of mine, I am dedicating to Allah for perpetuity. And that is what is a Waqf. Now, in this case, there is no Waqif, there is no Waqf records, and that's what the British courts held in 1936, 37, and 1942, that this is legally it is not a Waqf property. Now, even if you look at it theologically, in Islamic law, worshipping or offering namaz in a place which is encroached or usurped from somebody else without that person's permission, that is haram, that is not allowed. So theologically also, if one looks at it, the entire Gyanvapi mosque as it exists today should be illegal structure, not only in the eyes of the law per se, but also in Islamic law. But then still, it's it's a property issue. The second is it becomes a matter of ego, saying, giving this up will, lead me to lose something, and it's a loss for my religion, which kind of doesn't let people let go of things which they know are blatantly wrong. Now, in the case of Ayodhya, constantly the demand was, where is the evidence? Show us the evidence, and so on. Here, the evidence itself is screaming its head off to tell you that what the truth is. You didn't need an ASI survey to show you what the Western walls show to a naked eye, that this is a temple. Anybody who enters from that gate 4 today and goes into this new Vishwanath corridor, you cross the Gyanvapi Masjid, and the first thing you see is the Khandahars. So you don't need a survey, which also has been shown now. An advocate commissioner survey was done, an ASI survey was done with 800 pages of evidence given. Despite that, if you say, I will not give it up, I don't believe in the ASI survey is Hindutva oriented. I mean, archaeology is not Hindutva or Islamic, it is scientific. It is irrespective of what religion it is. So you have used the modern technology. There are graphs, there are measurements, calculations in the ASI survey report. There are inscriptions that have come up right from the 12th to the 17th century, broken idols of deities, all in the debris there. So despite that, if one says, I'm going to hold on to this and I'm not going to give it up, and it will be street veto, laws can be passed. Till some time, it was always like, we believe in the courts of this country. But now the courts itself are, from the civil courts in Varanasi to the Allahabad High Court to even the Supreme Court, these processes have gone unimpeded, right? So many appeals were done to quash the surveys. But the masjid side lost in almost every occasion on the merits of the case, and it's not a loss for a religion or something. So that is why I think this ego that is there of wanting to hold on to something despite knowing very clearly that what you're holding on to is illegal and what you are holding on to is not correct in the larger interests of communal harmony and amity, which is not, the onus of that doesn't lie on only one community. I mean, in a multi-community society like ours, a pluralistic society, I think every community needs to walk halfway to ensure that peace and harmony and communal brotherhood is maintained. The albatross of that can't be put only on the Hindu community, as it has always been. I think now the people are asking that, hey, listen, you know that this is what it is, so why are you still adamantly in denial and holding on to this? Why is Aurangzeb still your hero? Why is the Mughal rule, which has literally ended but not metaphorically ended in people's heads, that still this thing that we ruled you for 800 years, 400 years, whatever, that attitude, I think, is what is being contested today, and we are seeing these schisms only on that.
And what about the contemporary Muslims who would probably watch this? Should they cower in fear, knowing that, hey, Hindus are reclaiming temples, as they should, as is their historical right? But what does that mean for the nature of people who go to mosques? Will they then be ousted from each of the mosques? The same. I mean, I can obviously understand the other side, which is the Waqf Board argument, where many people have been ousted, using the Waqf Board Act.
Yeah.
But when we do something like this, and we do this in public and in such a grand display of reclaiming the temple, should Muslims cower in fear then?
Not at all. I don't think so at all, because I think the Indian Muslim has been a victim of these invasions as much as all the other communities have been. Now, all these stories that are spun, in the Nehruvian era of they became us and this and that, they never became us. I'm talking of the Turks or the Timurids, what they are and not the Mughals. At the height of Mughal rule, only 7% or so of the administration was composed of Indian Muslims. The rest of them, 57%, 60% were all from Turanis, Iranis. They were Persian. They always eulogized a Persian lineage. And that's why the desire to always have a Timurid clan of Timur, and who was a descendant of Genghis Khan. So the Mughal rulers may have been born here, they may have died here, some of them, but their affinity and their heart always was that our homeland is elsewhere. And that's why they trusted them much more, and that's why they were employed in administration more than Indian Muslims. That the Indian Muslims of today don't even know.
This is a revelation to me as well. I assume that
Professor Athar Ali about Mughal administration in India has clearly documented this with percentages as to how much percentage was the made of Indian Muslims. They were looked down upon as being dirty, unhygienic, dark-skinned. So always this thing is, Persian blood, Persian as high court culture. So everyone, including a Tipu Sultan in South India, wanted to make Persian the court language. And you're sending emissaries to the caliph and saying, I am the trying to literally, suck up favors to the high priest of
The brown sahib of that time.
Correct. Yeah. So, so these symbols that these people built, Babri Masjid or this Gyanvapi Mosque, of these people who did not have the interests of today's Muslims in their mind. They may be Muslim by religion. Look at what's happening to the Muhajirs, when they went to...
Who are the Muhajirs?
The people who migrated from India to Pakistan, thinking that this is the land of, holy Islam. Even now, I mean, they are discriminated against. They are considered as inferior, the Muhajirs, who are not on par with the, blue-blooded, Pakistani, the Punjabi, Sindhi, Pakistani. So even in Pakistan history textbooks, they always like to claim their lineage to Muhammad Ghazni and Ghori and all these people, the Persian, high.
And they're not associated with them otherwise?
They are not. I mean, the common masses are not. It's only a bunch of marauders who came. I mean, Babur was beaten black and blue and sent away from Samarkand, and then he comes here and establishes this clan, which is called actually the Timurid clan. It's not even the Mughal Empire, which became later, the Mughals, as it is called. So why should the Muslims of India associate themselves with these people? You can have... It's a simple analogy I'd give. The Christians of India do not associate themselves with the East India Company. We can openly talk about the atrocities of the British. We talk about how Churchill created, 3 million, 8 million, how many ever, 3 million, I think, who died in the Bengal famine. That time, it never crosses our mind that the Christians of India will get hurt if we talk about this, because Churchill was a Christian. We don't talk about whoever, all the different governor generals, right from Warren Hastings to Cornwallis to anybody else. We don't think of it that way. Or the 1857 uprising, which was crushed by the British. While talking about that, we are very cool about it. There are, intellectuals, politicians, including the likes of Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who argue so forcefully for reparations. People are asking for, give us the Kohinoor back. And he says, reparations does not necessarily mean monetary reparations, because how much can they've siphoned off so much.
They're already a pretty cash-starved country right now anyway.
Yeah, that of course. But reparations just means an acknowledgement sometimes an apology, saying, sorry, this happened, Jallianwala Bagh happened, or something else happened somewhere else. So reparations could mean that moral reparations that you owe. Now, in this case, why is there no reparation for anybody? Those people are not there. The Mughals don't exist anymore. So their structures need not be appropriated and venerated and worshipped by Indians, Muslims or Hindus or any other community.
But this is also not really a conversation about, as we go around finding out where each idol has a pran pratishtha, and incidentally there is a mosque nearby, which for example was not built by a Persian Muslim, was just built in the near times. Would they also then not be under the same radar and then be forced to move out?
It very well could. And why shouldn't it be? So because correcting historical wrongs, and somewhere it's a responsibility to your ancestors too. So there I have a very different take. I would like to nuance it a little more, rather than blanket say, yeah, I want all the destroyed temples and so on. That will be very difficult to do for various reasons, logistic reasons itself. So there are various we don't even know the number, like how many temples were razed.
1,000 is what you said Aurangzeb raised down, right?
No, Qutubuddin Aibak.
Qutubuddin Aibak, yeah. 1,000 is what
1,000 in one conquest of Kashi, Hassan Nizami says 1,000 were raised. Now, he doesn't give the names of those 1,000. You just have a number. Now, so there are various numbers floating from 1,826, which Sitaram Goyal has documented in his book, Hindu Temples, What Happened to Them, to 20,000, 40,000. We don't know. So, first of all, the number is not known. If we add up you take the court chronicles of all the Islamic era and then start adding it up and say, okay, maybe a lakh comes up as the figure. I'm just, assuming. Now you know the number, but you don't know the names of those temples. You don't know the locations or the names. So in Kashi itself, 1,000 were destroyed, but which were the 1,000? Vishweshwar I know, but there could be so many others which I don't know. So are you going to say I'm going to reclaim something I don't even know? So I think the nuance there needs to be first for the Hindu side to actually put a lot of hard work to build a case and say which are the temples which were destroyed, of which we have evidence. Whatever Sitaramji did in his work, I think it needs a version upgrade now. Saying among that, is there a priority list? Some things which are non-negotiable, something that is most important, most sacred, like Kashi had, our Puranic texts or our rituals and all of that mention that it is extremely quintessential to our belief systems, our existence as Sanatanis. If it is that, then make that list where there is staggering amount of archaeological or historical or literary epigraphic evidence. That also, all these are factorials which will help in assessing the importance of that site, and then make a long list which could be any number. I don't know right now, and I'm not a subscriber of this belief that give us these three and we will keep quiet for the rest. I mean, why should anybody keep quiet? And if there is staggering evidence somewhere else, and mind you, these three only belong to Uttar Pradesh, so it's a very dare I say, a North Indian kind of a project which is centering around one state. What if there is some temple in Kerala or Telangana or Assam or Rajasthan which people in and around this area don't know about, right? And what is if that is extremely sacred for the people there? Places like Kashi, Mathura, Prayag, Gaya, Ayodhya, they had a pan-Indian reverences, which is what I demonstrate in this book with respect to Kashi. But there could be some locally extremely important shrines too, which who is anybody to talk on the behalf of people sitting in some part of India to say, I will draw a moratorium on your behalf. If somebody has come and broken down your grandfather's house, and you today, through legal means, through property documents, want to approach the court and say, I want my grandfather's property back, I am not here to say, Vinamra, you are debarred from asking it, because I have said, my house I will reclaim, but I will not allow you to reclaim your house. Right? So first of all, you need to build this evidence. You also need to build a priority list of what is important, and then approach the issue. That is the last part of this process, and that could be resolved through various means. It could be resolved through the courts, which is, in my view, a very acrimonious kind of a discussion, right, where both parties are going to hurl accusations, and there's going to be a lot of bad blood that will flow. There could be an out of court nice settlement where people say, as I said, I mean, this Ayodhya dispute, what was the final dispute? That they give up the Muslim side gives up the entire space, and 5 acres or whatever is given in another place to build the mosque. Now, for that solution, you needed 70 years. And so many riots and so many people losing their lives and properties and everything. This could have been very easily spoken about in discussion. As I said, world over, reclamation of places is something that is very commonplace. You've seen that in Spain. We've seen that in multiple other places. The Hagia Sophia is being, it keeps changing hands over centuries, right? So reclamation of sacred places is between the Abrahamic faiths itself is something that keeps happening. This is probably the first time what happened in Ayodhya. And the first so-called only surviving pagan civilization actually managed to wrest back a place of worship from an Abrahamic faith.
अगर आपको क्लिप पसंद आई, मेक श्योर यू सब्सक्राइब टू दोस्त कास्ट क्लिप्स.